Okay, so we're going to use SQLEditor for the database model architecture, where the most important table we're going to use is concepts. We'll have an ID of integer, unique key, auto increment, and unique key, auto increment, and primary key, a name, and a simplified description. These fields are the ones we're going to work with. Also, for a future expansion of this tutor, we can use exercises, lessons, and codes, but for this case, we want to keep the tutor simple. Now let's go to the database browser, DB browser for SQLite, and as you can see, int as name has its correspondent simplified description, integer numbers, float, floating point numbers, complex numbers with real and imaginary parts, str as a string or text data, list as ordered mutable sequence, tuple as ordered immutable sequence. Okay, so now let's see how this works. Okay, so this tutorial is sponsored by Ascendance.dev. We are creating a Web2 and Web3 marketplace for prompt engineering, 3D models, and soon also classes and lessons. All these courses and classes and 3D models you buy will convert into a Solana token soon. So read our white paper. You can check our white paper here. Read it, and if you want to get something, we are empowering our community with the tokens. So thank you. Okay, so to use the tutor, you will need ChatGPT4 in chat.openai.com, and we're going to generate a prompt. And let's copy. It's copied automatically. Here you can see the code is study, and we're using this library paperclip to copy. So we paste the prompt that is define int in a simple terms 33 word, then give me int core concepts in 66 word, then give me a real use case of int in Python with code, and finally ask me a question to continue the Python integer numbers conversation using Socratic Mayeutics dialog. So now let's send this prompt. So define integer in simple terms. An integer, int in programming represents an integer, which is a whole number. In programming, an int stands for integer. This data type holds whole numbers, both positive and negative. Real use case scenario, for example, we are using datetime. So the starting date is some day in 2023, and the end date is another date in 2023 on December 31. So now days difference, and we are returning a whole number, positive whole number. Question: to continue the Python integer conversation using the Socratic Mayeutics dialog, why do you think it's essential to differentiate between integers and other number types like floating point numbers in programming? That require precision, for example 3D renders, scientific, are required floats, and for operations that require integers, for example counting stars, simple counting stars, for loops, array indexes, you need int. So exactly, precision is crucial in many computational tasks. Floating point numbers can represent values with decimal points, which is essential for scientific computations and graphics. and other areas where the minute differences matter. On the other hand, integers being whole numbers are inherently precise and are fundamental task mandates discrete values. Considering your understanding of integers and floats, how would you handle a situation in Python where you're given a floating point number but need to convert it into an integer? And what are the implications of such conversions? You can cast a float into an int, but it will lose precision if it contains decimals by truncating them even with sail or floor. That's correct. In Python, casting floating point numbers to an integer int function truncates the decimal part, essentially giving the floor value of the float. The function ceils and floor from the math module can also be used to round up or down respectively. However, it's essential to understand the implications of such conversions. Now, when you finish with integers, you will click here, enter 1 to go to the next concept. So you will click 1 and you have now floats. So you will paste here the floats, define a float, and you will continue the tutor class. So the idea is that you connect to this database, Python concepts, and you will, as you see the database, and you will go concept by concept, and you will have active learning by chatting and interacting with the tutor, asking questions, responding questions, thinking by yourself, not only passive reading a book. So now let's see in the next video how to create this tutor. Thank you.